seductive, so inviting. When will you breathe on me again? You've destroyed my soul. Please do not let me go. You never whispered true that my flying days were through. I used to fly, I used to soar, but you clipped my wings and caged me. With just one pout of your lips, you brought me back to earth and tamed me. Yeah, you destroyed my soul. Please do not let me go. You never whispered true that my flying days were through. I used to climb, I used to roar. You brought me back to earth and tamed me. With just the curve of those hips, you made me. You've destroyed my soul. Please do not let me go. You never whispered true that my flying days were through. You're my pixel girl. You're my pixel girl. You're the pixel girl. You're the pixel girl. You've destroyed my soul. Please do not let me go. You never whispered true that my flying days were through.
Well, I love the line in that song, "You've destroyed my soul. Please don't let me go. You never whispered true that my flying days are through." Well, I guess the reason I like that line is because I wrote it. I wrote a song called Pixel Girl about 10 years ago, and I was trying to describe the ambivalent feelings that I experienced between something that I knew was destroying my soul, but also at the same time, something that I did not want to let go of. That song, Pixel Girl, was actually inspired by the Message's take on Proverbs 7. And in Proverbs 7, you have Eugene Peterson's paraphrase, which records it this way. And it's describing a pixel sort of girl, a temptress. So listen to this. Soon she has him eating out of her hand, bewitched by her honeyed speech. Before you know it, he's trotting behind her, like a calf led to the butcher shop, like a stag lured into ambush and then shot with an arrow, like a bird flying into a net, not knowing that its flying life is over. So that song was based on that last line of not knowing that its flying life is over, and the idea that we are being trapped. Again, those lyrics, a song I'd written called Pixel Girl, but let me just say the music was actually provided by AI, and a big shout out to my brother-in-law, Don, who put that together with his AI, playing around on AI. We'll end with a different version of the same song. All right. Well, now that I've had some fun and got that over and done with, I want to kind of preface this podcast today by this crazy question. What if you prefer porn over real sex? What if in some sense, in comparison to porn, you are disappointed in sex? Well, you know, some of you are going, let's say you're single, for example, you're going, are you kidding me? I mean, I am just waiting. So in one sense, to be in a committed relationship that includes sex, hoping and thinking that it's going to solve my problems. And now you give me this. This is completely demoralizing. I will even say this. Some of the guys that I know are married confess some version of this to me. Vern, I am disappointed in sex. I mean, it's good and all of that, but it's not as good as my well-developed porn life. Guys have said to me, if I won't, they don't say this to their wives, but if they said, if I had to choose between sex with my wife and a good porn binge, I would probably prefer porn. Well, today on Finding Traction, we pursue this unwelcome line of thinking and ask the question, why am I disappointed in sex? Welcome aboard.
Ready?
When it comes to porn, are you stuck, spinning out, or slipping backwards in your life? If so, then welcome to the Finding Traction podcast, a show dedicated to those who are looking to gain recovery momentum away from porn and toward the life and relationships they have always hoped for. Now, here's your host, Vern Tomke.
Well, before we start in today's question, let me just say we have a great way for you to get resources. It's called our Circle Learning app, and you will notice and see in the show notes that there's a way for you to sign up. You can get access to all sorts of free resources, planning sheets, worksheets to help you in your journey away from porn. There's also information there on the Finding Traction course. That is a 52-week video course that I take guys through. We walk through, because it really does take not just a few weeks or a few months. It does take a concerted, consistent pathway out of what has probably been established in terms of a porn struggle in your life, embedded porn use. You've had that in your life for years. And so it does take time, not just to develop new habits, but then to backfill them with new ways of thinking and new ways of relating. So you can get information there. And let me also say, if you are interested in joining a group of guys that are committed and wanting to move forward in their recovery, we have a brand new Finding Traction group. It meets on Thursdays at 4:30 Pacific time. You track that across the continent. That is 7:30 Eastern time on Thursdays. We still have room for 2 or 3 more guys. So if you are interested in that, or you just want to set up a free Zoom call with me and talk about your recovery needs, you can email me at bandofbrothers.care@gmail.com. Okay, let's get back to this question. Why am I disappointed in sex? I mean, it's not that you're disappointed in sex per se, but maybe you're disappointed in that you thought that sex was going to do everything for you that porn has done for you. That is where the disappointment comes. When I first heard the song, the U2 song, Better Than the Real Thing, I thought maybe that's what they were talking about. Although I looked it up, and according to this, Bono was saying that it was actually just about people who choose instant gratification over truth, which I guess could work in this direction as well, right? So let's talk a little bit about this question. Porn in comparison with real sex with a real person. Well, there's a difference, and most guys don't realize that, and that's where sometimes the disenchantment or the disillusionment comes in, or the disappointment. First of all, porn is primarily about excitement, whereas sex is primarily about intimacy and connection. It's like the difference between going to a fair and going on a roller coaster versus a Ferris wheel. And I said to guys who have a long history of embedded porn use, you pursued porn, you've chased porn because over time, what you've come to do, originally porn met needs, it was an escape, it was something you used for unmet emotional needs, but over time you begin to associate it with a feeling, with a drug, with a rush. And over time, if we're honest, we realize what I really have been pursuing when I now have engaged in porn use is that rush, is that drug, is that feeling. So now you get married, and now you end up trying to chase the same drug, but using your partner to get it. And it doesn't work, because it's not about chasing a drug. It's now about your wife and you. Yes, sex is meant to make you feel good, but it's meant to make you feel closer and bonded with another person. And if you simply want a rush, if you simply want excitement and adrenaline, you will find that real sex can actually be a drag on that. This is why women at times will say, if I feel like I'm just a means to an end for the guy, his drug binge, I feel like I'm just being used by that guy. So there's a big difference. If you're chasing a drug, real sex will just get in the way of that. Another thing is, in porn, you are in complete control. In sex, you are not. Unless you're all about just controlling and manipulating the other person. If that's the case, any doll will do. So it removes that sense where you are in complete control. You can have it exactly your way. You are trying to experience Burger King. It doesn't work that way in real sex. Third thing is porn is primarily a self-focused activity. It's all about you. It's all about pleasuring yourself. It's all about getting exactly what you want, as long as it wants, in a way that you are again in control. But real sex involves aspects of mutuality. You have to consider the other person. It is interesting, for example, how many people describe after porn or masturbation, they will describe feelings of loneliness, for example. One of the reasons, there's been some biological studies on it and why there's been that niggling dissatisfaction, is because after sex, there are bonding chemicals released, but they have no place to go. For example, they say the hormone prolactin is lower in masturbation than intercourse. When oxytocin is secreted during orgasm, you're better able to bond with your partner, but when you're just masturbating or using porn, there's no way and no place for that bonding to go, which leaves you feeling, often lonely. But what if you're just wanting excitement? You're not wanting to bond with somebody. It's interesting, in porn, oftentimes one of the rules is the porn partner doesn't want to be kissed at all. Why? Because that is too intimate. That is too close. You can see how things like porn and all of the habits and the ways that we've trained our brain and trained our bodies to relate through porn are often completely opposite to the ways that we need to retrain our brain and our bodies to work in real sex. And it takes work. It's hard. It's a learning curve. That's why most people describe sex over time as getting better as opposed to worse for those who stick at it. Now here's the good news. If bonding chemicals happen when we're with a partner, then we can actually retrain our brain. I think it's Doug Weiss that used to talk about what we're looking at when we orgasm. If it's in porn, we bond to certain images. as I shared in the opening song, we bond with Pixel Girl to our destruction, of course, to being trapped and feeling lonely and empty. But the good news is over time, if we do the hard work of retraining our brains to bond through real, healthy, good sex with a real person, we can actually retrain our brains to bond away from Pixel Girl and bond towards the real partner that we're sharing our intimacy with. So, Pixel Girl versus a real partner. So, if you want to learn to prepare for a real relationship with a real person, then it's high time that we begin to get control over the ways that we've pursued the drugs through porn and now start pursuing, as I've said, a real relationship with a real person, because that leads ultimately to real satisfaction and contentment. So, to end this off, let's replay that song, Pixel Girl. This time I'm going to switch to a different version of the song, which you can do with AI. The first one was more of a classic rock version. Let's switch to some version of a metal version of the song just for fun. Here once again is the song Pixel Girl. We'll see you next time.
You caressed me with your silicone smile, so seductive, so inviting. When will you breathe on me again? You've destroyed my soul. Please do not let me go. You never whispered true that my flying days were through. I used to fly, I used to soar, but you clipped my wings and caged me. With just one pound of your lips, you brought me back to earth and tamed me. You've destroyed my soul. Please do not let me go. You never whispered true that my flying days were through. I used to climb, I used to roar. You brought me back to earth and tamed me. With just the curve of those hips, you made me. You've destroyed my soul. Please do not let me go. You never whispered true that my flying days were through. You're my pixel girl. You're my pixel girl.